Hey guys, Carl, Cultivate with Carl here, and it's time for a garden update. The garden is in and things are happening. Everything's going well. The squirrel patrol is on active alert. In the last couple nights, we've had some possum maneuvers in the backyard. Big old possum. No raccoons, so everything is looking good. The dachshunds have discovered, though, that they do like actually laying in the beds during the day, which is going to be a problem that I'm going to have to overcome somehow. Maybe some minor fencing or something till the plants get going, and then that'll be that. But I'm sure there's a toy or two buried in the garden. But so far, so good. You know, so far, so good. It's the 24th, Sunday, the 24th of March, and the weather has been great. We've had like 70s yesterday and sunny. Today is almost 70 and partly cloudy, or maybe it's overcast. We'll call it overcast. But we've been getting rain, so the garden's been doing pretty good and well on the rain, and we've been feeding little additional nutrients in the form of some Miracle-Gro type fertilizer, and then we've been planting a whole bunch. So the purpose of the video today is to do a flyby of all the garden beds, let you see what we got going on, and we'll talk about what we're going to do in the coming weeks. So let's do that now. All right, guys, here we go. Garden bed. This is the high bed, we call it. Here we've got sweet onions, and I believe on the back corner back there, we've got what was left of our bunching onions. We suffered a tremendous loss with the cold weather with the bunching onions, and I only have a few left. Hopefully we could propagate them and get them going. Over here on your right is the garlic, which was in my refrigerator, and I have just planted 4 or 5 butter crunch lettuce seeds up the middle, and hopefully we'll see if we can get us some lettuce in before it gets too hot. But the irrigation system is working in the bed. I've just got to take it over and bury it on the other side. That is on the to-do list. Let's check out tomato bed number 3. Okay guys, here in tomato bed number 3, we're going to take a quick pan around. But first I'll tell you that these 3 plants here on the end were store-bought. So that was actually in the same pot as this, and it is a husky red cherry tomato. And so I split that out and got a bonus plant. But so we have husky red, husky red, husky red. Now as we get around to the other sides of the bed, we're gonna look and see. What we have here are some sun gold tomatoes in the middle. Sun golds and I believe it's going to be sun golds and sweet 100s, and those are 4 cherry tomatoes in the middle. Plus we've planted some marigolds in the beds that are coming around just fine. The 2 on the end are bush Goliaths. They are indeterminates, even though they're in the semi-determinate bed, and they are doing great. Actually, I had to cut. They started to flower already, but it's too early for them to start putting on flowers. So I actually had to go in and cut the flowers off so that the plants could worry about growing instead of putting on fruit. It's also a sign that your plants could be under stress. So I'm going to keep a good eye on them. So far, the weather's been good, no pest problems. Everything's going really well in tomato bed number 3. All right, here we have tomato bed number 2. And what you're looking at here, these first 4 tomatoes are celebrities. They're determinates. You can see right there that celebrity's already started to put on a flower. So we're going to pluck that off and prevent it from flowering. We want the plant to grow and not produce fruit at this point. The plant on the inside, the first plant on the inside, that is also a celebrity. And you could tell because it looks just like all the others. I tried to fill this bed with determinates so that they were all of the same type. And over here, let me move over here. Okay, over on this side of the bed, we've got other determinate tomatoes. Some of these are Romas, and the other ones are, I believe they're ruby reds or red something, red somebody or another's, red skeletons, heck, I don't remember. Anyway, they're gonna be determinate tomatoes, much in line with the celebrities. And so they'll all be at the same time. You can see the marigolds are looking great. I mean, look at that thing. That thing's huge. And I love the orange marigolds too. They're pretty wonderful. But this is tomato bed number 2. Okay, here we go. Tomato bed number 1. Everything is coming along. This first plant right here is a Cherokee Purple. Now, I've never had a lot of good luck with them in my beds, but this one seems to be doing well. Let's move around without making y'all too sick. All right, let's move around this way and then we can see what we've got going. All right, the second one is called Mr. Stripey, and it is a Bonnie's plant, and it is coming along just fine. The next tomato, if you remember last year, we did a bunch of the Creole tomatoes. We did some Creole tomatoes, and they will suffer through the heat pretty well. And then, of course, the last one we have here is Bush Goliath. Now, the thing with this whole bed is the way that I've got the strings tied, they alternate. So as the plants get bigger, like Mr. Stripey or the Creole will go to the far side of the bed, and then Bush Goliath will come this way. So let me try this. All right, guys, check out the bed from this view, and you can see what I'm saying. So what I've done is alternated the strings, so that as these get bigger and I tighten the string on them, we're gonna groom the first plant to grow to your left. Then the second plant, which is an indeterminate, they're gonna grow to the right. And then the one next, the Mr. Stripey, he's going to the left, and the Cherokee Purple will go to the right. Historically, I've overstacked this bed with tomato plants. And so when they get big and bushed out, because usually they're indeterminates, there's nowhere for them to go. We have problems with air circulation. We have problem with mildew and mold and all the other wacky stuff. So this way, I thought that it would be better if I spread them out a little bit, and I was able then to regulate them a little better, because I'm going to come in actually on some of these indeterminates. I'm going to trim up the bottom so that we don't get a lot of splash from the rain on the plant leaves, which should cut down on some of the diseases. And then we're going to work on keeping a single vine. We're going to get rid of the suckers. Whereas on the determinate plants, we're really not going to do that. We're just going to let the determinates go. They're just going to grow, pop their tomatoes, and we're going to eat them. These we're going to do a little maintenance on and keep them going, because when we throw up some shade cloth, when it does get hot, they'll stop putting flowers on. But when it cools down, if they're still viable, they will start putting flowers right back on and start producing tomatoes again in the fall. And that's cool by me. So we just got to prevent them from getting bug eaten and sun scorched. So better, easier said than done in South Mississippi. All right, so this is tomato bed 1, the indeterminate bed. Let's go check out the cantaloupes, the cantaloupes. All right, guys, here in this bed last year was sweet potatoes. So we did sweet potatoes last year, and this year I put in these 3 cantaloupe plants. Now, my goal or my idea is that once these things vine out, that they will take over this whole plot. You can see back there I've got some weeds and stuff I got to get rid of. But for the most part, I spent last year trying to get this dirt to be productive. And it did pretty good with the sweet potatoes. In fact, there were some sweet potatoes hanging out that once I dug out to put these in, I actually found some more sweet potatoes. I may come in here with a mulch topping, or I may just do mulch with oak tree leaves, and then just do that. And then let the cantaloupe roam where they want. But let me tell you something. These things were tiny, teeny tiny when I put them in the ground. As soon as I put them in the ground, they took off. Now, we have them very far away from the cucumbers, as far as I can get in my yard. And so that way they don't cross-pollinate. And I guess if cantaloupe cross-pollinates with cucumbers, it'll be a thermonuclear detonation or something crazy. I don't know. But they say don't do that. So I'm trying not to do that. So there you go. It might make it taste bad or something. Or we would have some kind of unholy vegetable alliance. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, Ruby agrees. So let's go check the potted plants right down the fence. Okay, here in the first bed, we've got our Black Beauty eggplants. Last year, we had Black Beauties in there. We did not get a single eggplant off the plants last year. And I believe it was because it was too hot. This year, we're going to try some shade cloth. We're going to try some other things and see what we can do. Over here, then the second bed, we've got Better Bell green preppers. Once we put them in the ground, they took off, and they have been just growing like crazy ever since. I'm pretty satisfied with them so far. I've not gotten any giant green peppers out of my beds. They've all been pretty small. Here we've got the California Wonder Sweet bell pepper. It's supposed to be like an orange color bell pepper, and hopefully it'll produce. I like bell peppers. I like putting them on the grill and stuff, and so hopefully we'll get a good mix here. All right, down here we've got like tomato ICU. This is a celebrity. This is a celebrity, and it's got a flower on it. Here we've got jalapeno plants, but as you can see right over here, the one jalapeno laying down, actually the dogs got in there and snapped it off. So it's still green, it's still getting water somehow. I'm just letting it go and see what happens. But these are macho nacho jalapenos, so we'll see how good those are. All right, here we have sun gold tomatoes. It's another cherry tomato variety, and here we also have sun gold. And so that's the next one. And then this one, I believe, is also a sun gold. Okay, this pot is currently empty. It's going to have flowers in it. And then here we have the Nordic red potatoes. And both of those potato pots are coming up really well. Here in this pot, we're going to be doing sunflowers in the middle and zinnias around the edge. This is the This is my same rosemary plant from last year. I'll be cutting some sprigs off of that later this week to make some steaks. And we're gonna do steaks in the skillet. And then along the back fence here are different varieties of cucumbers. Cucumber, then potatoes. So as you can see down the fence, the cucumbers are starting to come up. The temperature has been good to them. They're actually starting, you can see right there, that one's catching on and starting to climb up the fence, as is this one. And so I'm basically going to use the fence as a trellis. Now, every other pot has potatoes in it. So you have, there's a purple variety. It's got purple skin, but a white inside. I'll get that for you in the next video. And then you have the Nordic Reds. And the Nordic Reds for me are the money winner. They're the one that produces, and I like eating them. So there you go. But the whole irrigation system is working. Everything's doing good. And that's that. So let's go check out the other beds. Okay, here in bed number one, this was traditionally a bean or some kind of bed that needed support, like cucumbers or beans or whatever. This year, I'm trying watermelon. So I've got 3 watermelon plants going, and then one mystery plant over there that looks like a watermelon. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but hopefully if these watermelons catch hold, I will just vine them around inside the bed using stakes, and then they can put forth their watermelons if it works. This is the first year for me trying watermelons. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Okay, on this bed, we've got right here, starting with this row, I put in some bush beans. So they're gonna be green beans, bush beans. I may have to thin them out. I may have put them in too heavy. And then on this row right here, I've got okra. And then you can see right there on the second irrigation nipple down, the old dachshunds have been up there chewing on that. So they need their little tails whipped. They're not all innocent like they play. You know, they've been chewing on my irrigation system this year. This is the first. In this bed, we're gonna have sweet corn. And in this bed also, I believe, we have one of Gunner's stuffed animals. But I planted sweet corn in this bed pretty heavy, and then we're just gonna thin it out when the right time comes. And so it gets good irrigation in this bed, and we were able to put a lot of nitrogen stuff in here, so hopefully the sweet corn will do well. I've never done sweet corn before. I tried it last year. It didn't work out, but we'll see what happens. Oh, look. There's G-Man looking for a place to hide his toy. And you can see where it was hidden before because there's a nice hole in my bed here. So we know who the culprit is on this. All right, on this bed, and this is kind of completing the tour, in this bed right here, we did zucchini. And what my plan is, I'm going to get the zucchini to pop, and then I'm going to put a tarp over it, not a tarp, but bug net to keep the vine borers out. You know, here, and if you've been watching my videos for any time at all, you know that we've had terrible trouble with vine borers. And then in here we've got both crooked neck squash and straight neck squash going to grow in this bed. I'm not sure how they're going to, when they come up, we'll look at them, we'll thin them out. As you can see, I've got these grass shoots coming out. And so about every other couple days I have to come and pull the grass shoots out. I would like to level this bed off a little more. It didn't level off really well, but I would like to level it off a little bit more. Maybe I'll go to the store and get some store-bought mulch or something. But first I'm gonna let the plants pop and see what they do. So, all right, I think that's the tour. Okay, over here in the compost bin, all we've got are a bunch of kind of compost gnats. There's nothing really going on in here. I really need to go get some coffee grounds from Starbucks and roll them in. All that's been going in here has been some table scraps. It's been alfalfa pellets, grass, and oak tree leaves at this point. So I've got to get this thing going a little bit more aggressively with some more table scraps and stuff like that. Hopefully we'll get this bed filled up. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. Yeah, guys, so with the compost, I would like to, I would like to get back to full-time producing compost. It makes a big difference when you go to fill the beds at the end and beginning of the season. And that way, you don't have to spend as much money at the store. So, you know, because this year I did have to put some money into compost and some soil filler, which, you know, these days most of the soil filler is just not that great. It's mostly wood product and sand. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. I'm a single person, so I don't eat a lot, I don't cook a lot, and so I don't get a lot of table scraps. I certainly don't have chickens or anything like that, so I may have to source some chicken, manure and some horse manure like I did that last time. You know, that was great when I found the person that had the loads of horse manure and I could fill up the beds. And the beds are still benefiting from that horse manure from back in the day. As for things that we are going to be doing, basically at this point, we're going to water, feed, and maintain. Water, feed, and maintain. So we're going to do our maintenance on our tomatoes to prevent them from blooming too early. We're going to maintain the irrigation system. I'm going to improve the irrigation system on the tomato beds, but at this point we're all in. So hopefully the plants will sprout. If they don't sprout, I'm gonna head to the store, buy some more plants, and then we'll just go from there. You know, putting the beans in the ground, putting the squash in the ground. This is just March. Theoretically, we've got plenty of time to get those up and going. I have a feeling that this summer in Mississippi is going to be a hot one. We've got a La Nina this year. And so that means, you know, unfortunately hurricanes. And for us, it means hot. So my plan is to shade cloth most all of the beds and then to fight it, unlike last year. Last year, we just kind of threw the flag in and gave in. This year, we're going to fight a little bit and try and keep the garden going throughout the summer. And there just came a point last summer where I couldn't water enough to keep the beds hydrated. So hopefully with the shade cloth this year, we'll get some mulch on there, and then that will resolve our problems. So I think that's about it for this garden update. Maybe next time we'll try and cover something a little bit more pertinent about what our plans are for the future. I've got some plans of putting in some other beds for flowers, and then maybe coming in between some of the beds and doing some single row stuff for like okra or tall things that don't require a lot of room. You know, like last year we did the bags with the potatoes on this aisle in between two of the beds. That worked out pretty well. So I may go ahead and install a bed for that. But you know, for one person, you know, this garden is pretty plentiful. You know, my goals this year is to have food for me. My brother-in-law, he wants to preserve a lot of the tomatoes, which I think we'll get a bunch of tomatoes. And then as always, I like giving stuff away. So I get with my neighbors, I give them stuff, and it's turned out really well because my neighbors across the way, They cook great Mexican food, and so I give them tomatoes and stuff. They give me tamales. That's a win-win in my book. The people at work, I gave a guy some sweet potatoes, some other stuff. He gave me some deer meat. It all works out. So if you have a garden, you can share with people, and that makes it a little bit more fun to do in my book. So, but that's it. Hopefully, put in some comments below. Click that like button, subscribe, and put in some comments below. How is your garden doing? What have you planted this year? What zone are you in? I'm in 9A, right here on the Gulf Coast. Just 2 blocks off the beach. So where are you in comparison to me? What are you growing that I'm not? So I've got, a variety of things in the ground, but what am I missing? What should I be growing? You're like, Carl, oh, you're missing out on greens or something. You should absolutely be growing these. What do you think I should do? Put it in the comments below, and I promise I'll read it and answer you. So there you go. But it is Sunday, fun day, and I have other things I've got to do. So I got to get the squirrel patrol a bath. They need it, trust me. And so from me and the Squirrel Patrol here on Cultivate with Carl, we're signing off, and we'll see you next time.